ain't afraid of no ghosts.
What is up, everybody? Nat Batman here with another movie review, and as you can see from the shirt I'm wearing, you can already guess what movie I'm gonna be reviewing, and that is Ghostbusters, specifically the 2016 reboot. Now, there has been a lot of negativity coming out for this movie even before it hit the theaters. It had the most dislikes for a trailer, and people were just being so negative about the casting, about every little piece of information that was released, and people were being incredibly harsh on this movie before it even came out. So I went into this like just completely open-minded because I love the original two Ghostbusters movies, and I even love the Ghostbusters video game, which a lot of people, even myself, can happily say that can be considered like a third story on its own. I was still excited for this movie, even though I admit at first I was kind of surprised about the all-women cast, but I did like some of the choices for the actresses because they are pretty funny. So when I went into this movie, I was very open-minded, and I actually was not let down by this movie at all. I was also even happy to see that even on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has a 75% rating as certified fresh. Now that is really, really great because that also gives it a good start and can really help put the movie in more of a positive light. And personally, when I watched it, I just really felt like maybe even that 75% should have been higher. Now, let me just first talk more a little bit about the story. The story follows three scientists who are trying to prove the existence of ghosts after coming across their first ghost encounter. And what I like is how these three really do bounce off each other pretty well. And then when they bring in another character, Patty, the whole group just feels way more dynamic. And I love how they really do feel like really good friends, and they have formed a really good bond. And you know, these are characters that you really feel like you want to follow through on the story and really try to make a difference and help people who come across these paranormal existences. And what I really like most about this movie is how where with the original Ghostbusters, it did have humor and horror in it. This one really did a good job in the humor, especially at the beginning where it started out with a good strong horror type of atmosphere, and then it did a good job of also bringing in a lot of humor. I thought that a lot of the humor is really funny, and it's just really fun to watch. It really made this movie a fun movie. Now, I won't be doing much comparisons to the original Ghostbusters because, again, this is a reboot, not a remake. It's not trying to imitate the first movie, but it is trying to be its own story, its own universe. So I think that's something that I really should emphasize because if you haven't seen the original Ghostbusters movies, that's fine because this you can go in even as a newbie and still have fun with it. But me as a Ghostbusters fan, I really did have a lot of fun with this because I like how the actresses not only displayed good humor but also showed these characters in some pretty pretty different kind of situations where of course they have their first encounters with ghosts, trying to catch ghosts, and even trying to deal with the main villain of Rowan. And Rowan in this movie, surprisingly, is just a human, and what I like about how this actor portrays him is how he does look very socially awkward and he has those mannerisms. Story-wise, it is pretty easy to follow. It's mostly just how the four girls become a group and become the Ghostbusters. Own secretary, played by Chris Hemsworth, and he's surprisingly pretty funny. I think Chris Hemsworth can do some pretty good comedy. And it was maybe getting a little annoying how dumb the character was, but he does have some good moments of humor, and he seems like a great addition to be with the cast. Out of the four Ghostbusters, my favorite was definitely Holtzman, and I think that she's a very standout character. She's very unusual, but she's also very talented, as she is the one responsible for making the proton packs and all the new proton weapons. And that's another thing I like about this reboot is how we have so much new tech, and I also like how Holtzman over the course of the movie is continuously upgrading the proton packs and even making new devices and weapons, and it's just really cool, especially when this is their first movie and it serves like an origin story to really see how they grow and how they become even more well known by the public, and also how they build their devices. And like overall, I love origin stories, and this feels like a really good origin story for them, especially for this reboot. This is a humor and a horror movie. I felt like it did a good job in both fronts. I actually had like maybe one or two moments where I did get pretty intimidated, or actually did have a little like jolt of kind of like suspense, because some of the horror did kind of catch me off guard, like maybe one or two moments. And that's what I like about this, is how this movie can be really fun, because it's not just horror but it's also humor, so it's two genres in one. And then also not to forget that there is some good action, so that's three genres in one. So I gotta give it props to Paul Feig, who is the director of this movie. And I don't know if it's Feig or Feig, but he directed Bridesmaids and Spy. Now, those two are his most recent movies, and they have 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, that is also another reason why I wasn't worried about this movie, because he knows how to do humor, and that shows in this movie. And he can also do action, which he can really show in Spy. And I think Spy is one of my favorite films of his, but I think this Ghostbusters is my favorite of all his movies, definitely. And I don't know, but at the end of this movie, I felt like I really wanted to see it again, which I kind of had that feeling with the first Ghostbusters, but with this one, I guess I just liked it because it really felt different. And yes, it does have some good throwbacks to the original, but it's just so fun. And I like seeing these characters triumph and, you know, really overcome all this negative opinions that people are giving them in the movie, about how they don't believe in ghosts and how they're frauds, and how they have to kind of be like a little low key about it. And I don't know, it really is it's very great to watch, and seeing these characters talk to each other and interact, it's really great to just see them just hang out and just open up and just, you know, be human. And that's what I think makes this movie fun, is that the characters feel human, they feel fun, and seeing the action scenes, the proton packs, and seeing it in a modern day movie, seeing them in a modern day movie, that's just really fun to see. And it felt like watching Star Wars: The Force Awakens again, where I see the lightsaber ignite for the first time, or seeing a lightsaber duel for the first time in how many years. It just brings you back once you see them fire on those proton packs. So that's just one of my favorite nostalgia moments watching this movie. I don't even think I have any complaints for this movie. I think this is a really fun movie, and this will really catch people off guard who have been maybe hesitant about it, who have been negative about it. Like, if they just go in with an open mind and give it a shot, I think they're gonna be really surprised, because overall, I'm already gonna just give this movie a straight up 5 out of 5. Now, I haven't really even done that in a while, but I really do feel strongly about this movie, at least personally, because I had so much fun with this movie. I love the action, the humor, the music was great. It was even amazing to hear the old Ghostbusters theme song again, and I feel like it didn't even try to like cancel out the originals. Like, it felt like it was paying respects, and especially great seeing the original cast members from the original Ghostbusters movie come in and have cameo appearances. Sure, they're not playing the same characters, but they are playing different characters in this universe, because this is totally separate from the other Ghostbusters movies. And I will also say, do stay after the credits, because there will be a secret ending which does hint at a possible villain for the next movie. Hopefully we do get a sequel. I really would be happy if we get a sequel, especially if the director returns for that, because he shows that he can do multiple genres very well. He showed that with Spy, and again with Ghostbusters, with both humor, horror, and action. If you guys have seen it, and if maybe you felt differently, and you want to share your opinion, please feel free to share them in the comments below. Or even if you agree with me, please feel free to share what you liked about it, and I'll check that out. I think one of my favorite parts was the climax, where all four girls were just busting out ghosts. So that has been my review, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys really do check out Ghostbusters. Please give it a chance. You might even be surprised. And even if you think it's just okay, if you don't like it, that's fine. That's your opinion. But just definitely give it a shot and go check it out, because I love this movie, and I'm already trying to think about when I can watch it again. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and take care. Later.